Hi all, this is Pixelcave, and in this video we will show you the locations of all dungeons in Conan Exiles, ordered by difficulty. There are actually quite a few dungeons in the Exile lands, but the game doesn't provide any official level requirements, nor are there any restrictions. Additionally, your experience can vary greatly depending on your playstyle, your gear and weapons, whether you use followers to assist you, play solo or with friends. While we base the order on our experience and feedback from the community, it's hard to account for all these individual circumstances, so what we show you will be somewhat subjective. We also want to clarify that most dungeons have worthwhile loot from bosses and legendary chests, but for the purpose of this guide, that focuses on locations and difficulty, we will only highlight notable knowledge unlocks. Having said that, let's get started. The Dregs dungeon is located at the back of Skulker's End in the starter zone and is generally considered a beginner dungeon. We'd say a good level range is between 20 to 30, while being closer to 30 is probably better if going solo or if you're new to the game. Notable unlocks in this dungeon are the Dredger knowledge, that teaches you recipes for various items, including a glow stick and underwater breeding potion, as well as the knowledge for abysmal weapons and reptile armor. Plus, there's a story-related item that you can get from the final boss. The Palace of the Witch Queen is less of a dungeon and more of a story instance that can be found far east in the jungle. It's a very short experience, and we recommend going there between level 30 and 35. Notable unlocks in this instance are the knowledge for the Lemurian Royal and Warrior armor, as well as the Lemurian pike and sword. Additionally, the Queen also drops 2 story-related items. The Barrow King is another, albeit tiny story instance that can be found in the tundra, west of the Mounds of the Dead. It only consists of 1 boss encounter, but since you can unlock some knowledge here, we thought it worth including. As for the Palace of the Witch Queen, we'd recommend this place for characters between level 30 and 35. What's important to know is that you need to have 1 demon blood on you in order to enter the instance, and that your journey there might be more dangerous than the instance itself in this case. Inside, you'll be able to unlock the knowledge for the King's Lair polearm and daggers, and get another story-related item from the boss. The Midnight Grove is located in the desert slightly west of the Den and can be considered a mid-tier dungeon. We'd recommend it for characters between level 50 and 55. This is another dungeon that requires an item to enter, and in this case it's a potion of midnight. The recipe for the potion can be learned from the NPC at the entrance, as well as crafted there. Alternatively, and less complicated, you can simply buy one of them from the same NPC for 5 feral flesh. The key unlock from this dungeon is the knowledge for the Jebel Sag religion, and it's also a place where you can reliably harvest Shade Bloom from several enemies. The Temple of Frost is located in the frozen north, and we'd recommend going there between level 50 and 55. It's debatable if this place can be classified as a dungeon since it's not an instanced area, but it has various bosses and loot chests. Since it can get freezing cold in this region, having the right gear and consumables to counter the cold is important when venturing here. A key unlock in this dungeon is the knowledge to craft black ice weapons and a pick. However, these items can only be crafted at the forge inside of the dungeon, and all require hardened steel items to be crafted. The Black Keep is located north of the Highlands, just across the Bridge of the Betrayer. There is an alternative entrance that lets you avoid many of the skeletons guarding the keep, that can be reached by diving into the icy lake west of the obelisk and by entering via a sewer gate. Starting with the Black Keep, all dungeons from here on out are more or less considered endgame, and we'd recommend coming here from level 55 onwards. Notable unlocks in this dungeon are the knowledge for Silent Legion armor sets and Tailit's weapons. And there's another story-related item that you can get from the final boss. The Well of Skelos is located at the heart of the volcano. Due to the high temperatures, this dungeon can be a challenge, and having the right gear and consumables to counter the heat is a requirement. it's probably best to come here at the earliest when reaching level 55. A key unlock in this dungeon is the knowledge to craft obsidian weapons and tools. While you can craft these items anywhere, the composite obsidian required for the recipes can only be crafted at the forge inside of the dungeon, and the process can take some time. Lastly, once defeated, the final boss drops yet another story-related item. Kurak's Lair can be found at Mechamosa's Spire south of the savannah. This mini-dungeon was introduced with the Age of Sorcery update, and you guessed it, is themed around this dark craft. We'd recommend coming here no earlier than level 60. While you don't need to have learned sorcery in order to enter this dungeon, it requires 30 blood crystals to activate the access portal, and you only have 30 minutes to clear the instance or face a guaranteed death. You'll be able to unlock the knowledge for Kurak's armor when completing the dungeon, and can loot the boss's head that can be used as currency at the spire. The Sunken City dungeon lies in the far east of the jungle and can be accessed by interacting with a small boat on the shore behind the palace of the Witch Queen. What makes this dungeon special is that large parts of it lie underwater, and it's recommended to bring some potions or gear that can help with underwater breathing. Notable unlocks in this dungeon are the knowledge for the ancient Lemurian weapons, the daggers of Dagon, some potions and improved fish traps. Several of the recipes require scales of Dagon to be crafted, which can be harvested from many of the enemies here. The abandoned silver mine lies just west of the unnamed city and is a rather small dungeon that's recommended for level 60 characters. As the name implies, it's a great source for mining silver, and besides scorpions and undead, you can also find a few relic hunter treasure seekers here, which can only be found in a few locations throughout the Exile lands. A key unlock in this dungeon is the knowledge for Scorpion Queen poison, for which you will also find the required crafting resource here. Last but not least, the final boss has a chance of dropping a scorpion egg sac, which you'll need if you want to raise scorpion pets. The Warmaker Sanctuary is located just southwest of the Shattered Springs area at Clail's Stronghold. While many dungeons are geared towards level 60, the Warmaker Sanctuary is generally regarded as one of the hardest ones that's riddled with traps and quite a few bosses. Notable unlocks in this dungeon are the knowledge for the Arena Champion's armor, the Godbreaker armor sets and Blackheart weapons, as well as the Grandmaster armor and weaponsmith knowledge, which teach you various recipes for armor and weapon enhancements. And finally, all of the armor sets that can be learned here require armor scraps to be crafted, which can be found exclusively in this dungeon. The wine cellar can be found in Sepemeru, the large city far west on the map. It's accessed via a door at the back of the tavern at the waterside. Together with the Warmaker Sanctuary, the wine cellar is generally regarded as one of the hardest dungeons in game. The labyrinthian layout makes it easy to get lost, and there are quite a few enemies and bosses to encounter. Notable unlocks in this dungeon are the knowledge for the Kari Overseer, Soldier and Raider armor, as well as various Kari weapons. It's also the only place where you can find Kari Steel, a resource required for all the recipes that can be learned here. And it's another of the few locations where Relic Hunter treasure seekers can be found. Last but not least, as with most of the other dungeons, there are many cool item drops from bosses and chests that make for a good reason to visit this dungeon and many of the others repeatedly. So even if you got all the unique knowledge unlocks, there's plenty of loot to hunt down for upgrades, crafting or replacement of your current gear. Now, we hope you found this overview helpful and that it gives you a better idea of what you can expect to visit, when and where. If you'd like to see more from us and want to support our channel, please consider giving us a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe or become a member of our channel.